In this video, we're going to convert percents into fractions. And the biggest thing to remember whenever we're converting is that percents are always per 100. So as I'm looking at these problems, every single one of these is out of 100. And we also know, hopefully, that 100% is the same as one whole, or 100 out of 100. If we have a fully charged battery, we have 100% of the battery. If we have 80% of the battery, then it's less than full, less than one whole. So when I'm looking at all these percentages here, I'm looking for the ones that are going to be over 1 or greater than full, greater than 100%. And the only ones that are going to be greater than 100% are this one here and this one here. So these two should have a decimal or a fraction equivalent that's greater than 1. The rest should not. So let's talk about this. When we say percents are always per 100, that means we can convert by simply placing every percent value per 100. This is 21%, or 21 per 100. This is 64%, or 64 per 100. And of course we have to reduce these fractions. So we have 5 per 100. So that's the easy setup, taking every single percent and placing it over 100, percents per 100%. So when we're doing this, then now I have to reduce my fractions. So I'm going to just simply put these in simplest form if they're applicable. Okay. And as I notice as I'm setting this up, this one is top heavy or improper. So again, this is going to be 3 and some extra. So I could say this is 3 and 4 100ths. That would also be appropriate. These other 3 problems so far will not have any whole numbers. These are not greater than 100%, and they're not improper or what I call top heavy fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause the video and go ahead and reduce all of these fractions. So hopefully this is what you got when you reduced each of these fractions. And I had reduced both the improper fraction and the mixed number, and I can still get both of them the same way. 21 over 100 didn't reduce, 16 over 25 is as low as I can go, and same with 1 over 20. Now looking at these ones, these are the problems that give students a little bit more difficulty because they look very bizarre. But remember, the whole idea is it is whatever the percentage is per 100. Whatever the percentage is per 100. Whatever the percentage is per 100. And if I'm sounding like a broken record, I hope so, because this is where we need to go. And the only thing we have to figure out is how do I deal with having a fraction of a fraction or having a decimal in a fraction, because you can't leave it like this. So when we have a fraction situation, we simply turn this into fraction division. So I have 1/4 divided by 100. So then we're going to, let me scroll up a little bit. So we are going to skip, flip, and we're going to multiply. And think about this, 1/4%, that's a teeny tiny portion, so it should be a teeny tiny number. Okay, same thing with here, 6.5%, that should be a very small percentage, so that should be a very small number. 113%, that better be over than 1 when I get into a fraction, whether it's be a mixed number or improper fraction. But let's do this other fraction one. So I have 24 3/4 divided by 100. Well, in both cases, I need to have them be improper. So this is going to be 96. 4 times 24 is 96, plus 3 more is 99/4 divided by 100 over 1. So we've got the setup going well. So then I'm simply going to, again, fraction division, skip, flip, and multiply. Now with decimals, what I need to do is I need to get that decimal out of here. So in order to get that decimal out of here, we multiply whatever the place value is. This is in the tenths place, so I'm going to multiply it by 10, because now 6.5 times 10 will give me 65. It's a nice pretty whole number, and now I know how to deal with it. But as with fractions, to make it equivalent, we have to multiply the bottom by the exact same number. So it's not 6.5 out of 100, it's now 65 out of 1,000. 113.8, going to multiply again, that's the tenths place. If I had it in the hundreds place, I would multiply by 100. If it was in the thousands, I would multiply by 1,000. So we're going to multiply both top and bottom by 10, and so I now have 1,138 over 1,000. And again, it's still top heavy. It's still an improper fraction, and so then what I have to do is I have to reduce. And here are all the values that we get when we put these values, when we reduce the fractions. And if you're not sure, like, okay, this is a huge number, remember the only factors of these denominators when we're doing this is either 2 or 5. We're going to have multiples of 10, and so when we're looking for things to reduce, I'm going to see if this numerator can only be divided by either 2 or 5, and in this case it can only be divided by 2. So that I divide it in half, and now I can't divide it again. It's no longer an even number, and it doesn't end in 0 or 5. So this is how we would take any number, put it over 100, and then we'd reduce the fraction. And the process is very, very similar when we're doing decimals.